I think this right here is good news and goes back to something I said a while back. I'm going to get into an old article as well, but Brian Michael Bendis is returning to write Avengers. This is a good sign, again, based on something he said quite, I'd say a long time ago. Wasn't that long ago, but you'll see when I get into the old article. Anyway, let's get into this right here. Brian Michael Bendis to return to Marvel for Avengers number 800 with more to come. Now, invariably, I understand there will be some in the comments that say, oh, I'm not returning. This is nothing. It's still going to be trash. Hold your horses. I get it. I get it. We want to go into this with cautious optimism. We're not naively going into this thinking everything is all fixed. Everything will be all good. This will be the greatest story ever. We don't know that. So again, I caution all of us, hold your horses, hold off on it's just going to be trash. I get it. I definitely get and understand the feeling that I'm not going to get super excited about any of this stuff. Trust me when I tell you, I get it. All right, let's get into this article. It's official. Brian Michael Bendis is back at Marvel, at least for a new story in Avengers number 800. First teased last month, Bendis will write a 14-page backstory in the issue with art by Mark Bagley, who previously worked with Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers Assemble. Returning to the pages of Marvel Comics has been an incredible experience, Bendis said via press release. To reunite with Avengers on the occasion of an anniversary is doubly wonderful because anniversary issues are where we really celebrate our love of the characters and legacy. I made my Avengers debut on Avengers number 500. I love the symmetry, and I get to reunite with my dear longtime Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers collaborator, Mark Bagley. Just reuniting with would be magical enough. But him coming out of retirement to do this story with me has an incredible gesture. With me was an incredible gesture, excuse me. He has already penciled magical pages. It's been a wonderful reunion between us and the characters. Thanks to everyone at Marvel for having me back for such a auspicious occasion, he added. This is the first of some truly special projects that I will be part of in the near future. Stay tuned. This kind of tells me that there is someone at Marvel. I'm not telling you it is all of the Marvel heads. I'm not telling you things are back on track. Let's all start celebrating. But there is at least someone there who is paying attention and saying to themselves, hey guys, we need some good storytelling. Gimmicks will last for only so long. There's only so far it will get you. There's only so much fanfare you will be able to garner off of that. And at some point, comic books have to return to good storytelling or people will fall off. And I think you do see that. I think you do have signs of good storytelling and people wanting to return this space to what it can be. In the story, it's the anniversary of the founding of the Avengers, and Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America come together to take down a Hydra weapon while teaming up with Avengers past and present. What's funny is how easy it is, excuse me, my alarm was going off, how easy it is to create a good story with simple themes. You don't have to get extremely intricate. I'm not saying that we don't want intricate stories, but to do something simply is having our favorite heroes face against some of their most furious and famous villains. You don't really need more than that. You don't have to go too much farther than that to produce a very good comic book. I think sometimes some writers and a lot of these studios, they overthink it. They really do think they have to do all of this other extravagant stuff. And it's like, to be honest with you, I don't really need all of that. All you have to do is just give me the simple stuff and I'll be happy. And as Bendis teases, this seems to be just the beginning of his return to Marvel. Recently, Captain America #6 pivoted from a new team of United Captains to the reintroduction of S.H.I.E.L.D. Look, and I saw this. I think someone is understanding you can create new things, but there's no need to change these things that fans love. Just return the things to what they are, because this is what fans love. You want to tell new and interesting stories. This is why in the past, during the inception of Marvel and DC, new characters were created as people wanted some different things. Or maybe the creators wanted to show some different things. Well, don't mess with beloved characters. I know I've said this ad nauseum. Could a Bendis written S.H.I.E.L.D. title be far behind? And with the Ultimate Universe ending next year, wouldn't it be interesting to have Bendis and Bagley on a new iteration of Ultimate Spider-Man? And I'll tell you what, I don't know what Marvel's plans is for the Ultimate Universe, exactly what they're doing. The Ultimate Universe could go away. They don't necessarily have to keep it. It's beloved by many people. I love Ultimate Spider-Man. But here's the thing. Really simple. You can look at the things that were brought to the Ultimate Universe, and you can bring some of these things to fruition in your regular timeline. For instance, Peter Parker growing up, having a family, him and Mary Jane being married with children. I believe this is something that all of us have wanted to see for a long time. And I don't think it is far-fetched to bring that to the main Marvel timeline. I don't think that's a bad idea. And I don't think fans would have a problem with that. Personally, I don't think so. Avengers #34, aka Avengers 800, hit stores January 3rd, 2025. You can check it out. Check the cover out below. I believe they meant 2026. I'm almost positive. Did they mention anywhere here in the article? Yeah, I'm almost positive they meant 2026 and not 2025. Yeah, and it shows the cover there. Okay, so now I'm going to go to this Bounding into Comics article. Now, this is from 2018. And I want you to hear some of the things that Brian Michael Bendis had to say. And this gives you insight into who he is as a writer and why this deal with him coming back to the Avengers could reinvigorate people like me who actually do like the Avengers but haven't really checked out too many of the books presently. DC Comics writer Brian Michael Bendis, who is currently penning a number of comics at DC Comics, including Superman, Action Comics, Scarlet, and more, gave his fellow comic book creators some much needed advice in how they tell stories. In an interview on Polygon with fellow DC Comics writer Tom King, Bendis and King were discussing King's latest foray into the DC universe with Heroes in Crisis. Tom King relayed one of his fears about Heroes in Crisis and how readers might see it. My fear is that the story itself should be the driver and not the themes. I don't want anyone to come to Heroes Crisis and say, ugh, this feels like great homework. I give it an A. I want people to come to it and be like, holy crap, what just happened? I want to find out. This, to me, personally, this is the mark of something, whatever you feel about them one way or another, this is the mark of someone who definitely understands good storytelling and what people want to see in their storytelling. That's when Bendis responded and made King's fear a much broader piece of advice to his fellow comic book professionals. And this tells me a lot about Brian Michael Bendis. No, don't lecture. I feel like I want to go online every day and tell everyone, don't lecture. Everyone's getting a little close to lecturing in their work. And this is 2018. This was written in 2018. He understood where people were going. King would echo Bendis' advice. You can make a point without lecturing. And this is what fans have been calling for a long time. We understand we all have our beliefs. We all have our things that we adhere to deeply. You don't have to be so heavy-handed in shoving these ideas down people's throats where it feels like I just read a lecture and not a story. I don't think you have to do that. Bendis would then drive his point home. No one wants to be lectured to. Forget who said this. People who agree with you want to be lectured to less than people who don't. I try to remind people you can have a great point, but please don't yell. I feel like Twitter, which is now X, is getting into people's narratives. I'm going to tweet my story and I'm like, no, tell your story. Tweeting is yelling, tweeting is lecturing. I don't necessarily agree with that tweeting is yelling or lecturing, but I do understand the broader implication of his point. You can tell a story and focus on the story. Your ideas will naturally be an outflow, an outgrowth of that. King would go on to discuss how he doesn't want to include secret messages in his work. Oh my goodness, that's this. Bravo to this article, bro. These are things that really, again, this is why I say Brian Michael Bendis returning to pen Avengers and possibly some other things. Yo, this is really good news. This is cause for excitement, although cautiously. I don't know if I'm right, but never want to have a message in my work. I don't want to be like, aha, you guessed my secret message. This is about how everyone should care about each other or something. Yeah, and I get what he's saying. Although, again, what you write is an outgrowth to some degree creatively of what you believe, what your deeply held beliefs, but you don't have to like force feed those things. Read some of the creators of old. I'm reading currently. I need to get back to it. I've been kind of lazily reading through the book, Isaac Asimov's Foundation. And you can tell that there's beliefs that he holds, but he's not opening your mouth and force feeding these things down your throat. They just come out naturally in his creation. But is there Bendis would continue, but is there, which is all the more haunting because when you don't focus on your message, yet it shows up so strong, you've got to go, oh, I am working on something. I've done this too. When you're writing and the message keeps revealing itself, to me, it feels like Hero's Crisis. Might be like, it could be your big statement, your final statement on this part of the human psyche that you've been writing about. And I do get what he's saying. Your ideas, they will come out in your creation. You can't avoid that. But if you're writing a story and your thought is, I'm going to make sure I tell people they need to do this, then you're lecturing. You're telling people what they need to do instead of writing a story. And in that story, what you believe comes out. Some people may agree with the point of the story and some not, but they can take the story for what it is and appreciate it as good storytelling. You lose good storytelling, in my humble opinion, when you lecture. This is fantastic advice from Bendis and King, and it echoes what many comic book readers and fans have been saying for quite some time now. They don't want to see messages bluntly put into comic books. They don't want their comic books to feel like lectures in a classroom. There is plenty of space for messages, but it shouldn't come across as yelling or lecturing. It's fine to have a message, but the focus should be on the story and the moments that create the story first. It's why so many people love Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, V for Vendetta. Yeah, and you can go on. There are obvious messages in those books, but the story is paramount to those messages. I like that. And this gives me some room for excitement about Brian Michael Bendis returning and writing an Avengers book and possibly some more. This is good stuff.